Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel, and today in this video I'm going to talk about agent, Langgraph, and what is a graph. So when we need to build an AI agent, a chatbot kind of a thing, the, the conversation with a user can go in multiple directions. And for this, you need something where you can maintain the state of these messages that you are having with the agent and the customer. Then there are situations where you would want to store certain information for your AI agent to, or your code to actually process, not even the AI agent. There will be multiple scenarios where you would want a state, and most importantly, you would want a framework which allows you to easily manage these complex workflows. And Langgraph is one library on top of Langchain which allows you to do all these things. It's a specialized library created to help you build these kind of stateful and multi-agent kind of complex workflows. And in this video and subsequent series, I'm going to try to make you understand what LangGraph is, and then start with a basic chatbot agent. Okay. Now, before we start writing the code, it is important to understand what a graph is if you don't know. Okay, so this visual thing over here denotes a very simple graph. Now, there is a start, an agent, and end. Now, obviously, this is not very useful because it's a very straightforward, a linear graph. There's no branching, there's nothing extraordinary happening. I mean, it is not managing any complex workflows as well. But it is important to understand the basics first before we dive into complex workflows, right? Like any graph, there is a start, there's an end, and in this particular simple graph, there is only one node called agent. Okay. In terms of structure, we also have edges. Okay. The start node is connected to the agent node, and the agent node is connected to the end node. Okay. And these connections are happening through these edges. The one important thing is whenever something is happening, the graph should end so that in the more Python way, we are able to get the output of the graph so that we are able to pass that information to the user, which is the customer, right? So we will start with a clean notebook. I have an env where I have my grok API and I have my Langsmith API. These two things are required. The grok, I am using it because I will be using their LLMs. I'm not going to run them locally. And Langsmith is useful for logging purposes. So we will see how things go. So this is my Python notebook, and I'll have to get the environment up and running. So what I can initially do is get all the libraries in place. Okay, so I am going to use Langgraph, obviously, Langsmith, that is for logging. I will use the main Langchain library. We will need Langchain underscore grok because this is the library which has all the necessary code to communicate with grok. And we also need the Langchain community. So with this in place, maybe what I will do is try to run. It will ask me for an environment that I want to use in my Python. Now I have already created the VNV, so I will just select this. Okay. Let me run it again. Yes, and it will require to install this IPy package as well. So let's just go ahead and allow all these things so that it can start working. In the meantime, there is Python load environment. There's a package for that. I load env, or is it something else? No. Python package load env. Yeah, this is the one. I should have added this as well. I can do that now. Okay. So these are already satisfied. What it will do is only install the new one. Clear. Okay. Now, what I will also need to do is get the environment variables. So let's try and get that first. My first variable will be grok underscore API. That, okay, before that, actually, I need to do, if I'm not wrong, I need to load .env. So yes, from load .env, I do this and from .env. Yeah, this is working. So that's kind of, I can clear that out. Grok API will now be, I will do, yes, os dot get env grok API key. Okay, let me ensure that the environment variable is correct. Okay, and yes, it is pointing that I also need the Langsmith API key, so I will do that. And I'll just confirm that things are loading by doing grok API key and Langsmith API key. Okay, and if I now run this cell, OS is not defined. Yes, because I haven't imported it. Import, oops, OS. That's right. And I can get these. So you can see the environment variables are now available to me. Obviously, I'm going to delete this, so please don't use these keys. But I wanted to show you how these are used. Okay, I don't need this as well. The next thing which I would like to do is for Langsmith to work properly, I need to set certain environment variables for the logging to happen properly. I'll just first configure that. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. OS.environment, Langchain API key. I'm setting that to Langsmith API key. Now, yes, this is a bit confusing, but I saw in the documentation that they said both can work, but I'm doing everything as Langchain. Okay. I am enabling the tracing v2. This is one more configuration that we need to do. And then Langchain project name. This is basically a project name under which you will see all the logs. Right now, if I show you my Langchain dashboard, it only has this default project, but after that, we will see a new one. Okay, I'll run this as well. Everything is ready. One last thing before we start with the graph is I need an instance of the LLM, and I'll have to create that using the grok thing, which I have, the package that I have installed. So let's get started with that. From Langchain grok, import, I think this is chat grok, LLM equals chat grok. So in here, it needs the API key, which will be grok API key. And it also needs the model, yes, which I will say is going to be Gemma 2, 9 billion. Okay, this is what I saw in the grok documentation, and I can work with that. So yeah, let's try and get and run that as well. This is done. So now we can get started with the graph. Now for the graph, the first and the most important thing is we should have a state. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is define the state first. I'm just typing it here so that it is easy to understand. So state is basically a class. Okay, so I'll do state, and it inherits the, so we'll create a class called state. Okay, and yes, for this I need the type dict and annotate. So maybe what I will do is I will get them imported. So from typing, I'll import annotated, and from typing extensions, I'll import typed it. Okay, these are the two things that I will need, and in here I will pass typed it. Okay, and I'll have the state will have messages, and this is going to be an annotated list. To add anything to it, I'll need something. So what I will do is, in here I'll also add a few things from the Langgraph. From this I will import start, end, and add messages. No, actually the add messages will be from, I'll simplify the import messages, import add message. Yes, that's correct. And I'll also need the state graph. Okay, so I'll import that as well. All right, I think this is for now fine. And I'm saying that my state graph is going to be a class of type typedict. The messages is going to be an annotated one, and it's a list. And to add anything to this graph, right, I will use this function. So far so good. Let's proceed. So with this definition, I'll create a variable called graph builder, which will be state graph. Okay, and I'll pass the state that we have created. So this is my instance of graph builder. Ideally, if I do graph builder, I can see this is the instance. Okay, so we can move ahead. Pylance has detected type annotations in your code. Recommend enabling type checking. Would you like? Okay, fine. What is this? Okay, I don't need to look at this right now. So we have our graph builder instance. Next, we need to start with the graph. So our graph, right, it will have start, chat, the agent, chat agent, and the end node. Now, start and end are already defined. We have already imported them if you have seen this, right? But the chat agent is something that we haven't created it, right? So to create the graph, we will need the definition for that particular node. So we will do that. Let me see what we have named it. We have named it agent. So we will do agent for now. Although this is, I don't think, the best name, but fine. Now, any node in this graph, right, will automatically uh, get the state, and it needs to return the state as well. Okay, so what I will do is I will have state. This is what I expect as the argument. Okay, by mistake I have two. All right, Copilot, wait for some time. Okay, now I have this definition. Now what am I supposed to do? If you remember, I told you that every node needs to also return the state. So it gets the current state and it needs to return the state. And I can manipulate certain things inside the node. I can push things in the state and everything, but I need to return it. So this definition needs to return that state, right? How do we do that? Return messages, and in here what I will do is I will get the response. So LLM dot invoke. Yes, I should have the state messages. Yeah, so this should be fine. So what I'm doing is I'm returning the state where I am inside the messages, right? This thing, I am adding the response which I will get when I invoke the LLM. Okay, that's pretty much what I will do. In the invoke, I will pass the message. Let's see how this works. Now that we have the definition for the node that I require, we can actually go ahead and build the graph. So I'll do graph builder dot add node. The first thing will be start. Actually, I don't need to define start. I will do chat. uh, I'll do agent. Okay. And agent is the definition which will handle that particular node. Okay. What is happening? That agent. Okay. Yes, I haven't executed the cell. So that was the reason for that error. Now I have added the node. So the only thing that I need to do now is graph builder dot add edge. Yes, start an agent. Okay, because start to agent is one edge, and then agent to end is one more edge, which was properly being done by Copilot. And yes, at the end I will have graph equals graph builder dot build. Maybe what I will do is instead of the build right now, I will do compile, because I want to show you a nice little thing over here, which is, we have built this graph and now there is a visual way of looking at that. How do we do that? I have a small code snippet which I will paste in here. Okay. And I will execute that. Can you see? This gives us a small little image which tells us that yes, there is a start, there is an agent, and there is an end. And if you can see, yes, exactly what we have created over here, right? So we have our own version of this same thing. Okay. So now we have this graph. We understand how we are adding nodes, how we are adding edges. All these are fine. How do we run this? So what I will do is I will put a small code snippet through which what we will do is take the user input, and till the user types exit or queue, we will continue to take that user input, put it in the graph state, and then the invocation of the graph will happen. We will get a response based on what we have seen over here, and we will see the output. Okay. All right, so this is the code. If you see while true, so basically it will continue to run till I break. In here, I am taking a user input. If the user input is either quit or queue, then we print goodbye and we break. But if it is not, then what we're doing is for each event in graph stream, we are getting the messages and we are printing them. Okay, this is the standard code that I got again from one of the examples. Now if I execute, it's not doing anything. Maybe the kernel kind of went for a toss. Wonder what happened. Okay, is it particularly failing on something? Yeah, again it is. Okay, I got it. Sorry, it is so hidden in here that I didn't even realize, because previously I was doing it inside Collab, and that does bring a different kind of thing. So this is the input prompt, almost hidden, and if you see, it now prints graph is not defined, but I have this graph. Maybe I will restart. I think something has kind of created a problem. So yeah, let's wait. I'll just clear this long output thingy. Yes, if I do quit, it says goodbye. This time it is correct. I think when the execution stopped, I restarted the kernel, and that's why it was creating a problem. Now if I run it again, prompt comes back over here again, and I say hi, how are you? Now it comes up with a message. So you will see assistant says, as an AI agent, I don't have feelings, but I'm ready to help. How can I assist you today? Which is great. It also gives you certain other informations. For example, um, the AI content, the previous messages, the token counts, and everything. So right, it is very helpful. And maybe, okay, can you help me can you tell me the capital of India? All right. And you can see it came up with the correct answer. And now I will do Q so that it quits. And if I now go to Langsmith, hit refresh, you will see we have a new project over here. And if I click over here, I can see all the recent calls that have gone. So the first one was, hi, how are you? It gives you a clear indication of what happened through the entire chain of things. So when the Langgraph got executed, this is what was there, right? Chatgrok got this, output was this, total tokens spent. Again, this is the next conversation I had. User, okay, can you tell me the capital of India? Human, okay, can you tell me? Yeah. And this, right? So as you can see, this is very helpful because when you get into more complex graphs, you will have very difficult time understanding what happened when, if you don't have this kind of an output. It gives you the graph where it got executed as well. So these are some very nice things about Langgraph, Langsmith. And yeah, this is how you work with Langgraph in a Python application. So this is the first step in terms of how we can use Langgraph to create basic AI chatbots. Now, obviously, this is nothing in terms of compared to a real chat agent, but this is the most basic graph which I wanted to explain you so that you get a understanding of how to build the graphs, what nodes are, what edges are, how this things works, what is state and how to maintain state, right? These concepts were important. So this is what we have covered in this video. If you like this video, then do click on the thumbs up icon and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.